What is up, everybody, and welcome to an episode of the Joe Kilgallon Podcast, aka Kilgallon's Pub. I'm your host, Joe Kilgallon, stand-up comedian, podcaster, actor, writer, husband, father, producer, badass. Once was a judge in a Miss Chicago beauty competition, Miss Illinois as well. What other crazy shit have I done? Oh, just lots of things, man. Fighter with a record of 11-1, not professionally. We're talking street scraps here, which makes me all the more cool in the eye of the beholder, I like to think. Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Every episode here, I like to start off with a little bit of gratitude, a little shout out to the Patreon subscribers. And you too could be a Patreon member if you just go to patreon.com/Joe Kilgallon. You go there, get yourself a bonus episode per week. You get yourself some other fun stuff, early access to some things, tickets to a show if I'm in your town or you're in my town. For the most part, every now and then a venue's like, you can't be pulling that kind of nonsense. And then I say to that venue, well, you suck my dick, you piece of shit. That's what I say to them. And then I lose the gig and then I'm sad. And then I have to find other ways to make money. So just accept it. Sometimes you don't get free tickets to everything, but for most things, I can hook you up. All right. So check out the Patreon. All right. And shout out to anybody who listens to the podcast, who tells their friends to listen, who subscribes on YouTube for my stand-up comedy content. Go to punchup.live, everybody. That's right. Hold on. I got a little thing here. Yeah, right there. See, it's on the bottom of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. Punchup.live. You can check out my brand new stand-up comedy special there. Punchup.live is a new comedy platform. Features the likes of Mark Norman, Roy Wood Jr., Steve Burns, Sam Morrell, Carmen Lynch, Jordan Jensen. Some of the top comedians in the world right now are all at punchup.live. And it's got my tour dates there. Just check it all out. All right, cool. Thanks. Enough of the plugs, right? Let's get into some fun shit. I had myself a fun weekend. I hope you listening had yourselves a fun weekend. You're listening to this on a Tuesday. I recorded this Monday, and it was a good weekend. You know what I mean? It went quick. It was the end of the Christmas break, holiday break for my children. And you know what? I made the mistake. You know what I should have done? Because they had 2 full weeks off. Christmas fell on, what was that, a Sunday this year? Sunday or Monday. And what was nice about that was that they got, like, New Year's Day was January 1st. Obviously, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, it was on a Sunday. So they had the whole week after that off, which was really cool. And I thought to myself, damn, that was a week in which we should have gone on a vacation. If it falls that way next year, I'm going to look into how it goes next year. That's when you take your kids to Disney World. That's when you go to Florida if you live in a cold weather city like myself. Right now in Chicago, this upcoming few days, it's going to be about 20 degrees every day. 12 degrees I saw in one day. We got Fahrenheit over here for my UK listeners. So it's really cold. That's all you need to know. Like really, really cold. I don't know how to, do the translation from Fahrenheit to Celsius, but it's freaking freezing. Celsius makes more sense to me though. I will say that. Like 0 degrees is your freezing. Our freezing is 32. Weird. So it's going to be cold as balls this whole upcoming week. And I thought to myself, you know what? It'd be nice to have gone to Florida. That's when you go. Because when do people normally from my neck of the woods take their children to Disney World? They usually do it around spring break because they don't want to go in the summer because it's already nice here in the summer. You live in a city like Chicago that's really, really cold. It finally gets warm in the summer and then you ditch it. You go away for a week. That's dumb. Don't be dumb. All right. Make a plan. Be smart. So next year is what I'm making this decision on my own. I haven't brought it up to my family at all, but I think next year, the week after Christmas, if there's enough time, that's when you go to Disney. I bet it's cheaper, because a lot of people travel for the holidays, but the week after the holidays, not so much. So I'm going to have to look into that. I could be wrong though. It could be very expensive. And then I would have to be like, no, not worth it. But that's when you go. So you get out of this fucking tundra and you go down a little sunshine. You get a little sunburn if you got the white skin like I do, and then you have yourself a time. You find yourself some shade, and you drink like an alcoholic. Rum. Isn't it weird when you go on certain vacations, you drink things you don't normally drink in your regular day-to-day activities? When you go to Florida, I don't drink what I drink in Chicago. I'm drinking fruity bullshit. I'm drinking rum. I'm drinking tequila, which I should be drinking more tequila. That's pretty good. And I've got friends who say it's not as bad as a hangover as you'd think, which sounds like a complete lie. It feels like I'm being pranked. You ever have someone try to get you on something? They go, no, dude, have this. I'm telling you, it's going to make you feel better. And then you have it and they laugh at you. And you're like, you made me feel worse. I need better friends, but good one. I'm going to get you back, you piece of shit, kind of things like that. That's stuff to think about. But no, I had a nice weekend. I did some shows up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Shout out to so many people who came out to that. Just a great crew. My Club 400 friends came out. They're a big group of Cubs fans I've done some shows with, and they made the trek. Eddie Cologne, shout out him and his wife Brandy, and a couple of their friends from Iowa. And it's just such a good group of people who all came out, and I really, Dee Dee and Carlos and Patty and Dave. So amazing job by all. And so that was Saturday night. Sunday, got up early, just a little after kickoff, but I was able to make it to the pub to watch Man City in FA Cup action against Huddersfield. I believe that's Huddersfield. Why am I blanking on who they played? It was yesterday. Oh, geez, I'm getting old and tired. Easy win, a rout, if you will. They looked a little sloppy at the start, but once they got their rhythm, it was great. And Kevin De Bruyne made his return. For those of you who aren't football fans, it's these guys one of the best midfielders in the world over the last 5 years, and for him to come back, subbing into crowd going nuts, everyone singing and chanting, it was a beautiful thing. Phil Foden continues to impress. There was a lot to love. It was nice to have, after some close matches over the last week and some intensity, a nice, easy Sunday morning victory. It was just fantastic. For those of you, because I know I've got some listeners in the UK, shout out to you guys. Cheers for listening. It's, the time zone difference thing throws some people off over here. So when you guys are watching your matches at, late afternoon, they're in the morning here. And because of that, there's this look a few of us give each other where it's like, how early can we start drinking? Sometimes you're just having one of those days where you're like, I don't care. I don't care if anyone judges me. Because when I sat down, I was a little late. Kickoff was 8 a.m. I got there like 8:04. Not a big deal. And, everyone had tea. They had pots of tea on the table. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to order right away. But for whatever reason, I do believe that the one type of beer that is always okay to drink on the early side of things, and that's Guinness. I don't know what it is about Guinness. I don't know if it's because it's a heavier beer. It comes in that awesome pint glass, an imperial pint glass, as it's called. There's something about it where and when I see it, there's the picture of Guinness, or like when the server goes by with a tray full of Guinness, it's just, when it's just that blackest of black, and then just the creamy top to it, the creamy head. I feel sorry for people who don't love Guinness. I feel sorry for non-Guinness drinkers. I really do. You are missing out. There is something about that finishing the first pint of Guinness. Some things I say there's something about the first sip, but to me, it's that final sip of your first pint, because the first pint of Guinness is something you enjoy thoroughly. There's no sense of I need to get after it. Then they start going down very easily. I've told people, I'm like, first pint of Guinness, it never feels like you drink it that fast. It feels like you're almost drinking slow. Second pint, maybe about the same. But pints 3 through 8 go down very, very quick. Scarily quick. They sneak up on you big time. But there's just something about it's just such a different experience than your typical lager or your Pilsner or any kind of ale. All the new craft beers, there's all sorts of different styles these days, but Guinness is an experience unto itself. And that's why those posters are so popular across the world. The Guinness is good for you. Guinness, brilliant. Have a Guinness, like all those kind of things, where some of those posters didn't make sense. There was a lot where there was like some sort of toucan bird, some sort of exotic bird was in a lot of these Guinness commercials or Guinness posters. And I've never seen any of those in Ireland or anywhere in that part of Europe whatsoever. So I don't know where the fuck those birds came from, but there they were. But I always like the Guinness, it's good for you, where it shows a guy like, he's about to arm wrestle someone. He's like, I got to have a Guinness first. You know what I was told by some old Irishmen was that back in the day, I don't think they still do this, but, and by the way, back in the day to certain people could mean like 1993, not that really far back in the day, but they would give Guinness to Irish women after they gave birth, like in the hospital. Oh, you just gave birth, here's a pint of Guinness. Not as a celebratory thing, but because Guinness is rich in minerals, and in particular iron. Apparently there's iron in Guinness. Now, I've not looked this up or fact-checked it whatsoever, but I like to believe this is all true. So whenever there is a chance to order Guinness and drink Guinness, I'm all about it. Unfortunately, it's become wildly expensive in the city of Chicago, to the point where it's kind of ridiculous. There are some pubs, no bullshit, will charge like $9 for a pint of Guinness. And that is just, it's a sin. It's sacrilegious. It's against everything as human beings we should stand for. And someone needs to pay for this. Not for the actual, not with actual money. I mean, pay with their soul. I'm not going to say their life. Soul is different than life. You could lose your soul, but still live. But there needs to be some sort of retribution to whoever decided to raise the price of Guinness this much. I think that's what post-COVID, everyone just used excuse. I know there were supply issues and a lot of things, and that's what led to massive inflation. I heard other people where there was articles in 2019 predicting that the 2020s was going to see a lot of inflation because inflation had been so low for so long. And now I think maybe that's another conspiracy theory that you don't hear enough about, that COVID was used to use inflation. I don't know if that's true. I think these businesses are just run by assholes who will use anything to raise the prices of stuff. Oh, well, my mother stubbed her big toe. So as you can understand, morale was low at the factory. So because our production slipped behind, we have less supply, but the demand is still there. So we had to raise our prices, and that's why it's so expensive now. That's why I carry a pen like this. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, I got one of those clicky top pens. Can you hear it? You guys can hear it if you're listening in your car in the audio. You like that? Now, I carry these because it's my weapon of choice if I'm almost getting into a street fight of any kind where I feel like I'm going to get jumped. Now, if I'm initiating the street fight, or if I'm equally in trouble for it, meaning equally to blame, then I don't use this weapon, because that's psychotic and attempted murder. What I do is this, though. I have one of these, right? I have it in my front pocket, right-hand side. Now, I don't have it clicked open. I have it clicked off, right? Because you don't want to poke yourself in the side with a pen while you're walking around, So, but then if someone comes at me, right? If I feel like there's someone lurking in the shadows, Chicago's could be a dangerous city in parts of it. So I then take that pen out and I'm walking in a way where if you're 10 yards behind me, even 5 yards behind me, you don't know there's a pen in my hand, because I kind of have it like tucked a little bit. You guys could see like that on the video. It's kind of hard to show because I'm sitting down. And then I have the pen tucked away. And then if I feel like someone's about to grab my shoulder and turn me around, that's when I unclick and I fucking stab. I get them right in the side of the neck and the jugular. And then if they have any kind of gun, I use my other hand to hold the gun up. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm stabbing the jugular. So they start firing off in desperation, but they're just firing in the air. And then with my knee, I get them in the stomach real hard. So then they lose their breath. And now it's only a matter of time before they're dead. That was too much. That was all too much. And I would love it if you listeners who once held me in some sort of, if you once had a lot of respect for me, to forget everything I just said, because I feel like I just lost your respect by teaching you how to murder someone. Don't murder people. But then again, what if they're trying to murder you? You got to out-murder the murderers. That's the point I was getting at, right? It just got a little too real, though, with the way I explained it. I felt it. I got a chill. The hair on my back of my neck creeped up a little bit on that one, where it felt like, is Joe a psycho? Joe might be a psycho. I think some of you were probably thinking as you're listening to this podcast, but that's not what I'm just trying to teach you how to be safe out there. You got to be safe. Now, be careful, though, because what this person just tapping on the shoulder to be like, hey, you dropped your wallet back there, and then you fucking neck stab them with your nice fancy pen. What a way to die, though. Imagine you're lying on the ground. You're like, is this ink? Blood and ink all together. If the ambulance doesn't get here soon, I'm dying of ink poisoning. That's for sure, But again, that's for an extreme scenario. All right. For the most part, if you find yourself in a situation like that, give them your wallet. And then they go on their way. You call up, you cancel your cards, unless they take your phone then too. You don't want to be a victim of a robbery, of course. You want to be able to fight back. But is it worth it? Is it worth it? No one carries that much cash on them. And we all have safeties and protections on our debit and credit cards, your bank card, whatever you want to call it. So it's all right. You could tell someone, hey, I survived a mugging. But it's a badass story. A badass? Is that how I want to say that? It's a better story to say that you fought him off. But still, I don't think anyone deserves to die because they were trying to take my wallet. That's extreme punishment right there, But so maybe I don't got stabbed, but maybe I put the pen right up to their neck. Go, hey, do one fucking thing. Move one fucking muscle. You try to rob the wrong person, motherfucker. Move one muscle, and you're gonna hear this. Right? Do you want to hear that? You don't want to hear that. But then if they got the gun already in the air, that's when I got to take it out of them. And then I pistol whip them across. I'm a good backhander. You give someone a good backhand. I used to love yelling out, I'll give you the taste of the back of me hand, and just fucking go right across like an angry Scotsman. I feel like that was more Scottish the way I said it. Actually, it was pretty clear, so it was more Irish. Anyhow, all right, everybody. There's some crazy shit was going on the internets over the weekend. You guys see this video? It was a viral video of this man. I feel bad now because it turns out this man was having like a mental breakdown. Now, that could be the excuse or it could be true. It looks like it was true based on the evidence. So a video went viral over the weekend of this grown man, probably mid 30s to mid 40s. He was definitely looked like he was 35 to 45 range. And he is nude swimming in this big tank that's at a Bass Pro Shop. Now, for my around the world listeners, I don't know if Bass Pro is a worldwide brand. It's basically, you go there and buy like fishing gear, any kind of outdoorsy stuff. They probably sell anything like that, big heavy coats, whatever you need to. It's a nature shop essentially, And so they have like a big, like it looked like aquarium type thing. I don't know, a pool of some kind. I don't know if there was fish in there as well, but it was big enough for several grown men to be in there. He goes in there completely naked. And the reason this video went viral was because as you're watching the video, your thought immediately is, where's this dude's penis? Does he not have a penis? This is so sad. Why would a guy with no penis get completely naked and jump in a pool like this? Then people are asking, how cold is this water? I'm like, no water is so cold where you don't have a penis anymore. There was then another shot that someone took of with the security getting him out, police getting him out, where he's still completely naked, and you see a penis, very, very tiny one. And I don't come down on my tiny penis brothers. Okay, we are all people. You are men regardless. All right, you're a man. Does not define you. You could be a guy just absolutely swinging a fucking Duralog down there. You could be a guy with one of those cookie dough things that's not open, with the long tubes. You could just be swinging a hog and a half, right? And be just not much of a man because you're a terrible person, right? And you can't get any, and you're just not a good person. You're a piece of shit. You're dumb. You can't do anything. Then you could be like this dude, where I don't know what the hell, where it was. I think that was the alarming part, where it's just a little bump in the skin there. And, you could be that guy and be a wonderful human being, So again, no judgment here, right? Other than, you gotta, if you do look like that, nobody wants you to be naked. That's the thing. No body shame, but have some shame. I don't know. Don't fucking be naked if you don't like. Some people might be like, oh, Joe, are you saying naked people, if you're going to be naked, you have to be hot in public scenarios? Yeah. Because if the video probably doesn't go as viral if he just has a normal dong. I think the video went viral because people were like, where did it go? Why can't I see this thing at all? And I saw that like, what was it, like Saturday early evening. And, I went pee several times later that evening. And every time I looked at my penis and I wanted to give it a kiss to be like, thank you for not being like that, guys. So now I am being a little judgy, unfortunately. I shouldn't be, though. That's not nice. Some people were sharing the video, making jokes, and then I saw a few people go, hey, I took it down because the reports are this guy was having a mental episode, and, I'm not going to make fun of someone who's having a bad day and they couldn't help it, and well, this was mean, this was in poor taste. And to those people, good on you. Good on you, right? We don't want to hit someone when they're down, right? Regardless of their shortcomings. And it doesn't matter. Like I said before, it does not matter. I really do believe that. I know everyone makes jokes where it's like, yeah, it does. To some women, sure. I think to the vast majority, it must not. Now, we live in a superficial world where you're going to hear more about maybe it matters on TV and movies and online. You're going to hear those people be more vocal about it, right? But the reason I truly believe it doesn't, and I'm sticking up for my boys out there, my short kings, if you will, that's what they say about you guys now, right? Is that the fact that gene still exists and there are people being born every day with little peeps tells you that it doesn't matter, right? Because if it truly mattered after all this time, that would have eventually been phased out. Or you could ask yourself, maybe it has been phased out and penises were way smaller back in the day. Like like 1800s dong was tiny, tiny. And then now 1900s got a little bit bigger. And then maybe in the 2000s, this get even bigger. But I don't think that's the case. I truly don't believe that. I think, I think we're desensitized by the amount of porno that's everywhere. By the way, that's the first time I've said porno in a while. Normally I just call it porn. But actually, I'm going to start calling it porno. That felt fun. It didn't feel as, I don't know, dirty. Or is it more dirty? What's dirtier? You're hanging out with your friends and you're like, hey, dude, I saw this great porno the other day. Or it's like, dude, do you watch porn? I feel like the way you say porn, the way it ends, it's like, do you watch porn? You a big porn guy? What kind of porn do you like? See, it's the horn. It sounds like horn. Like you're horning your way into my situation. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to get into my head. You like porn? What if I horn my way into that brain of yours to figure out what kind of porn you like? And then based on the kind of porn you like, I'm going to be all judgy. I've said porn so much that this video is going to get no fucking views on YouTube. Oh, come on, YouTube. You got to know the difference. You got to know the difference between someone preaching something and someone discussing something intelligently. Fuck, man, this website's killing me these days. Anyhow, porno. You like porno? Sounds more like, hey, we can put some porno. I'll throw on some porno. We'll all relax. That sounds better, actually. I'm bringing porno back. I'm doing it. Okay. So, we've all seen so much of that we all have like our beliefs of what is, we have to remind ourselves, women, men, they, them, everybody, we have to remind ourselves that the people who are in these videos are like the top 0.5% of the genitalia world, the genitalia game. There's everyone else is not even close. You can't compare. It's like hanging out with a bunch of centers in the NBA, a bunch of 7 foot tall dudes, and then being like, I'm the shortest person in the world. It's like, no, dude, you're 5'10". You're an average man. You're fine. You're doing great. Or maybe it might be a little, and it's 5'9" average, 5'10". I don't know, but 5'10" feels like, I feel like if you polled most women, they'd say 5'10" is an ideal height. So yeah, it's not, I don't know. I'm trying to make people feel better about themselves. But this dude with the no show penis going into a big tank of water for the whole world to see, having a mental breakdown. It sucks, man. But you'd think you'd have a mental breakdown where part of your brain would be like, let's keep the fucking underwear on, right? Let's keep the jocks on, and nobody would notice. You'd think. And now it makes me wonder with this guy, what is his mental thing? What kind of mental problems does he have? Is it the little penis? Is it the micro penis that caused the mental problems that gave him the mental health issues? Or is it just that they're unrelated? He had mental health issues and he also happens to have a micro penis. What a shitty hand to be dealt. When I see videos like that, it's hard to have any kind of belief in a higher power. It kind of is. I don't know. I got to look into this guy. I want to find out. I want to start a GoFundMe for him, in which people say, "Hey, man, it's all right. We've all had days like this. Here's $9. Go buy a Guinness." Like something like that. He needs to be cheered up. He needs the ultimate cheer up, this man. Because if a woman has this mental breakdown and goes nuts, nobody's all like, look at that shitty vagina. Like, you can't tell, right? It's not an extremity. Nobody, I mean, if you're eye to eye with it, your eye is right up to that clit, then you know what the whole situation is. But this is a very filthy episode of that podcast today. But otherwise, it's a naked woman, I think porn has gotten progressive in the sense that you see way, way less fake boobs. I'm telling you, the fake boob ratio from 20 years ago to today is just vastly different. 2004, 20 years ago, I would say 8 out of 10 porno actresses, there's that word again, had the big fake ones. Just dangerously fake, where like the veins are screaming, oh my God, we did too much. Like so those booby veins, the breast veins, where it's like just one big blue vein right down the middle of that cleavage, just screaming out for help, going, we went overboard. And now I feel like it's like maybe 3 out of 10 are having those comical fun bags. And a lot of them are very like almost no boobs, like very flat, smaller boobs. I wonder if that was like someone being like, hey guys, we're entering the 2020s. All right. Little body positivity. All women are beautiful. All women deserve to be on all fours in front of the camera. Does not matter. It does not matter the size of their breasts. Okay. It's the size of their heart that matters. Okay. And let's all respect that. Okay. Now go lube yourself up and be a gentleman. All right. She's very petite. Think about it. Guide it in slowly. All right. You fucking animal. Right. All right. Enough porno talk. I was thinking about this the other day because I was coming across Jordan highlights, and I remember thinking to myself, at what age could I show my kids these highlights where they're going to get like, holy shit? And I think it's soon. They're both very little still, though. They're young. So I was watching Michael Jordan highlights, and I still can't see. Part of me with Michael Jordan is I love the fact that he did play with the Washington Wizards because he got to play against a lot of NBA superstars that were part of that next era and did very well against them. I love sharing the clip of Jordan as a 39-year-old, or I think he just turned 39, just schooling Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett the very next year would win MVP. Jordan would retire the next year, and Garnett would win MVP. And Jordan blew by him. He's hitting fadeaways in his face, getting him off balance for jumpers. Just so many moves. Jordan had the most moves, still the most moves of any player. I love it when today's fans like to go like, oh, I've seen guys do that. And then everyone goes, share the fucking link. And they can't because Jordan is one of one when it comes to moves. There's other great players who have amazing moves, of course. Kobe's right there. There's guys that do phenomenal things. I'm not saying the league is more athletic as a whole, but the top athletes from like 15 to 20 years ago to 25 years ago would still hold their own. I think a lot of NBA players in particular look from 25 years ago, 30 years ago, look at less athletic compared to today's player because of the way they dressed. If you're wearing tube socks and short shorts, you look like way less of an athlete, you know? Also, guys back then, as they were balding, were just like, I'm balding. You know what I mean? They didn't all shave their head. Jordan made the head shaving thing more popular. But you see a guy with like fucking hairy chest because no one manscaped back then, you know, wearing tube socks with the stripes on the top of them up to his kneecap and like short shorts where his fucking bald skin is hanging out the bottom side. You're not going to look as athletic as a dude who's wearing shorts below his knees, cooler high tops, ankle socks. You know, he's got tattoos on his arm and he shaves his chest hair. That dude looks more ripped. It's just a fact, right? Jeff Hornacek, I was saying, people were talking about Jeff Hornacek from the Utah Jazz. Could he play in today's NBA? And a lot of people are like, hell no, look at him. He's not an athlete. I'm like, no, he is an athlete. The dude was 6'4". He could shoot from anywhere. He would fit in well in today's league. The problem is you're looking at that dude and his 1982 haircut that he was rocking in 1997, right? Give him a Peaky Blinders haircut, throw a sleeve of tattoos on his right arm, and he would look like any Euro playing today in the NBA. That's simple, right? So what I'm getting at with Jordan, though, is that sometimes I look at the Wizards years being like, why? But then I look at those Wizards years going, that's great because there's crossover. He played against guys who guarded Kobe and guys who guarded LeBron. And that you could ask them. You could ask Shawn Marion, who was harder to guard. You could ask Ron Artest, who was harder to guard. You could ask these guys, and a lot of them will tell you Jordan. I think 3 out of 4 said Jordan was the hardest to guard of the 4 players who guarded both one-on-one. And the one guy said no comment because he was LeBron's teammate, and that was Richard Jefferson. Although I'm pretty sure Jordan dropped 45 on him. Granted, Jefferson was like 22 at the time. Either way, I bring it up because Jordan's finish as a Bull, Game 6 against Utah in 1998, the way that series ended, him hitting the shot to win his 6th NBA championship, finishing the year as MVP of the regular season, MVP of the All-Star game, and MVP of the NBA Finals, was it was almost too perfect a finish. Where if you would have written that as a Hollywood script and said, I want to make this movie, they'd been like, it's too neat. Like, this would never actually happen. It's too perfect an ending. We want a great ending, but not so perfect the audience can't believe it. And yet it was perfect. It was the truth. It was that nothing could compare. And I bring it up because I came across some Toy Story toys later after I was watching Jordan highlights on my phone. And I remember going, Toy Story 3. Man, did that have a perfect ending. Toy Story 3. I remember after watching Toy Story 3 thinking, is Toy Story the best trilogy? Like single-handedly the best trilogy where all 3 were great. Now, there's some arguments about Toy Story 2 being just okay. I still think it had a lot of charm to it. But Toy Story 3 and 1 are so elite. And I'm like, is that the best trilogy? What's a better trilogy? At the time, Toy Story is no longer a trilogy because they made a 4th. But that ending, the way you think they're all going to die. Spoiler alerts, by the way. The way you think they're all going to die and then they don't. They get saved in such a cool way, you know, the claw. And then they find a new home and Andy's willing to part with Woody. and they play together one last time before Andy goes off to college. And as the car's driving away, Woody looks up and all his friends know he's going through it. And he's like, so long, pal. It's like, I cried. I have no problem admitting that I cried at the end of Toy Story 3. If you didn't cry at the end of Toy Story 3, you should get yourself checked. In Toy Story 4, I got teary-eyed at the end. Toy Story 4 is a movie as a whole. Like, it had some really good parts to it, and it was a fun little adventure, but it was a lot lacking from it. Not lacking, but I think a lot of fans who are adult fans, by the way, I'm wearing a Buzz Lightyear shirt right now. I just realized as we're watching it, I think we're kind of like, this needs to be so much better than Toy Story 3 to, justify making a Toy Story 4. That was our thought process behind that movie. But I really do think it was a good movie. It was a unique, good story. They'll probably figure out a way to make a Toy Story 5. If you don't know, at the end of Toy Story 4, Woody becomes a lost toy. He goes out with Bo Peep and a new crew of friends. And then Buzz and Jesse and, the whole gang, they're back with Bonnie, who is a huge villain. Bonnie sucks. I've talked about this. Look up my thoughts about Bonnie on YouTube. Fucking villain. I mean, Andy said, this is the most important toy. He's the best. He'll always be there for you. And then she stops playing with him in Toy Story 4, which is set like 3 months later. Toy Story 4 is like 3 months after he goes off to college. And this bitch was already like, I'm done playing with Woody. Oh, Dusty Woody. I'm going to take his badge off and give it to Jesse. That's where feminism fucked us. That's where you guys got us, right? You know what I mean? Bonnie couldn't have made Jesse a sheriff as well. She had to take the badge from Woody, who earned it. He earned that fucking sheriff badge. You don't think he put in the hours? Oh, he put in the fucking hours. He was at the academy. He cracked cases, right? He was there. He was voted. They voted him sheriff. He was voted in Woody's roundup. It was clear in that show that they were like, who's on the ballot? Woody. We're voting for Woody, right? Jesse, you were a deputy. Okay. We're not saying you couldn't eventually become a sheriff as well, but no. And I'm not, this isn't hate towards Jesse. Jesse's wonderful. She's a great officer of the law. But what Bonnie did by removing the badge from Woody and slapping it on Jesse was just the height of fucking bullshit right there. And that's why Toy Story 4 kind of did have to happen. I had to show you that, Woody's a true cowboy and he had to ride alone. Although he's riding with Bo Peep now. He's riding Bo Peep now. What's up, Woody? All right, everybody. That has been the podcast, the Joe Kilgallon Podcast. Maybe next week we could talk about other trilogies, because I'm sure some of you are listening to me like, this is a better trilogy. That's a better trilogy. The Star Wars movies aren't trilogies, really. Dark Knight, you could argue, pretty damn good one. The Captain America movies, I guess, but there'll be a Captain America 4, so then it's not technically a trilogy anymore. Anyhow, there's not that many true trilogies, is my point. And I don't even like saying the word trilogy all that much. It kind of does a lot to your mouth. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for checking out the Joe Kilgallon Podcast. If you want to join the Patreon, go to patreon.com/Joe Kilgallon. I will be in St. Louis, St. Charles, and specifically St. Charles, Missouri. It's a suburb of St. Louis at the Funny Bone. Great area, great club. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. And, check out punchup.live /Joe-Kilgallon to watch my new special. And I'm going to be putting out way more content here in 2024. With goals of touring everywhere that you guys are listening. Wherever you're listening, I want to come do a show. All right, you guys are the best. Have a good one.